Just imagine this was a beer or a Truly or something. Oh boy, here we go. So, before you even judge me, all right? Hey, this is the guy who's always come out and saying things, and he's watching this kind of movie. I'm not, look, I say stuff, but I'm not against the LGBT community at all. Just get that right out there. I'm not against it at all. I just don't like how my big problem is not with the LGBT community. My problem is with the movie studios who think, hey, let's capitalize on this community so we can make money off of it. That's my problem. All these movies and TV shows coming out, oh, we're gonna have a gay lead or a lesbian lead, a bi, trans lead, African American, Chinese, Latino, whatever. They do it to make money. And so when I first saw the trailer for this, like pop up, I'm like, oh boy, I don't know. What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? That, Then when I read the synopsis, I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And after watching the movie, what did they do? I don't know. There were some parts that were just kind of uncomfortable to me. I didn't hate this movie at all. I actually thought it was decent. To be honest, I don't get the hate. I mean, I get the hate. There's some people on one side of the conversation that are gonna hate this for one thing. There's another one that's gonna hate it for another thing. There might be people that could like this movie or on another part could love this movie. Who knows? It's gonna be very divisive, I think. For me, I thought it was decent. However, I came in expecting a camp slasher. We don't really get much of that until like the second half of the film. But after watching it, that's not really the point. There is a camp slasher aspect to it, but that's more in the background because it's more about the relationships of these characters and, kind of moving them forward, seeing where they're going to go, that sort of thing. We don't know. The story is that uh, these teenagers, they look like they're in their 20s, but these teenagers are sent to a LGBT conversion camp to try to dissuade them from their ways. And someone shows up and starts killing people. Mostly counselors, but yeah. And like when I saw the trailer, I thought, oh, it's Kevin Bacon killing these people because they won't convert. That's not what it is at all. So I was way off from what it was when I said, oh, you're not going to be, we don't want you to be, that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of things in this film that people who are very sensitive to this kind of subject are going to flip out about, such as referring to non-binary characters, non-binary people, who prefer the they them. Like Jordan is our main character. They are non-binary. They use the they them. But then they say that, excuse me. If I say he at any point, I'm not trying to be mean. It's hard for me, okay? So if I call Jordan a he at some point, don't think, oh, he's being just like Kevin Bacon in this movie. No, it slips my mind. Okay, so don't think I'm doing it on purpose. They flat out tell Kevin Bacon I'm buying, because there's a whole thing, and it speaks to the whole conversation out there with non-binary or trans, people. Like the whole conversation is what bathroom do they use? If you're a trans woman, do you use the women's bathroom or do you use the men's? Same way, if you're a trans male, you use the men's, you use the women's. And you could say, oh, just make a bathroom for the trans community, but then it leads into that, well, is it for trans males or trans women? It's just going to cause more problem. Or do they count as the same thing? Or is it just like all trans or non-binary. I don't understand. Okay, can somebody tell me in the comments? I don't really understand like the whole non-binary thing. Like something like you don't want to be either, so you just I don't know. But they and them implies you're both. I don't I don't know. But yeah, Jordan, you know, basically says, I'm non-binary. Where do I go? And Kim Bacon's like, go to the boys' dorm. And they do it again later with Alexandra. They, I think it's she, is in the shower. One of the female counselors catches her and realizes that she's trans, so she's put into the boys and is told to wear boys' clothes because of that. And that's a lot of the stuff that people who are sensitive are gonna watch this and go, oh, that's not right. And yeah, and it gets to the point where it's like basically electroshock therapy at one point, and it's I don't know that's the stuff like I can handle like the oh you're a he kind of stuff because that's just the way people are, but the electroshock stuff had me cringing. I'm like, what are you doing to this poor person? He's a guy. He's a dude. Homosexual. What are you doing? What are you doing? And I want to put out there, horror films, they have sex scenes, right? Well, when you're in this kind of movie, do you do that? They do. They do 3 different sex scenes, sort of. 2.5. But they're all like different variations of the relationships represented in this film. There's a lesbian one, there's a homosexual one, and there's a sort of straight one with like they're dry humping each other or something, and then they both get killed. But I'll come back to that scene later because it points out that Kevin Bacon's plan doesn't work. But yeah, and I like all the actors in this are pretty good. Yeah, Kevin Bacon, the actor, I'm not sure how, because the actor is also non-binary. Actress, you say actor? I'm not sure how they call it, but the actor who plays Jordan is really good. Anna Kolumsky's in this, and like I didn't expect where they took her character, but it's very interesting to me where they took it. So the killer in this film, okay? So there's something very obvious that they did at the beginning of this film that really just set up, oh, it's going to be like this. So at the beginning of this film, there's this woman, she's driving to somewhere, to the camp, we find out later, and she gets attacked by this killer, murdered on the road, and that's our first kill. I'm like, okay, this is a great way to start, because after going through, I assumed and was right that this is the first kill. We don't have another kill for like 45 minutes, so it's a good thing to start. We'll start off with a kill, and then for 45 minutes we're going to deal with this character drama stuff, and then we'll get the kills towards the end of the film, which is how it happens. But right away I saw that, I'm like, oh, so one of the counselors is the killer. And right away I'm like, oh, I thought it was going to be Kevin Bacon. Unless he's one of them? Like if there's 2 killers maybe. But no, Kevin Bacon's not a killer, but he deserved to die. Let me tell you that much. He was, like, do the whole thing. This whole, like, so when they reveal who the killer is, like, I mean, at first you don't know. You know it's one of the female counselors. Maybe. Like, what if? No, it has to be female because it took the female's place. So it's taken the place of the female who was there. And I'm not going to say the name because that gives it away. I will eventually. But so like, who is it? But then as the numbers get dwindling, you're like, okay, there's only 2 women left. And judging by how this character has responded to everything, I think it's her. And then the other female character gets killed out. Okay, it's her. So, yeah. And so yeah, like I said, it's very. If you're expecting a straight on full slasher where there's just kills throughout the movie, you're not gonna get that. You get the opening kill, and then there's another one. Maybe it's not 45 minutes, maybe it's like a half hour in. They kill the janitor guy, whatever he is, the groundskeeper, and then not till like the 45-minute mark, maybe later, then we get like the stuff towards the end of the film or whatever. But yeah, Kevin Bacon, what he's doing, like he is going to the stereotypical male female persona. He puts all the people he perceives to be women in the kitchen. All the people he perceives to be men, they go out on the shooting range, and it's very, oh, this is very stereotypical. Men have to go out and hunt for food. Women are in the kitchen cooking, and yeah, that's. I mean, this is 2022. How old are their methods? We find out later that the killer. I'm gonna spoil who it is, but we found out later that the killer was one of the students there getting revenge, and the character, she says she was 14 when she was taken to the camp. So that means that it was in 1994 because the actress who plays this character in 1994 was in a movie which was a sequel to a movie from 1991. She was 14. But yeah, so 1994. 1994, I can see them having this sort of stuff because, in the 80s and 90s, that sort of thing was like, no, I mean, they had Will and Grace and stuff on TV, but that was not a very well depicted version of the, LGBT community at the time. But, that was a very point in time where it wasn't as accepted as it is now. Even now, there's some people that don't accept it, but I don't think they would have that kind of. You think one of the first things in this open day where people were more open to it, they would take away these camps. Why would they still have these kind of camps? Who would fund this? I don't know. And like that also speaks to the parents of these teenagers. What kind of parent are you to not love your child for who they are? It's like, no, you have to be what I want you to be, so you go into this camp so you can be that. What kind of parent does that? That's bullshit. Like, if my son was to come up to me and say, hey, I don't feel okay being a boy. I think I want to be a girl, or I want to be non-binary, or hey, Dad, I'm gay. I'd accept him for who he is. It's not going to be like, no, you have to be straight and you have to be a boy, and that's that. It's my child. I love my child. I'm going to love them for what they are. I don't want my child. I want my child to be similar as me, not exactly like me. I'm going to have his own interests, his own stuff, to do his own thing. I'd rather have him be more like me than his mother. That's a whole different conversation. But, I'm just saying, I'm open. If my son one day comes to me and he comes out or something, I'll accept him for who he is. I'm not going to be like, no, that's not right. You have to be this. No, I'm not like that. But what kind of parent that tells their child, I know you have to go do this. I'm forcing you to do this. Like Jordan's character, they are here because they want to get emancipated, and so they have to go to this camp to do that. Like, is it? And by the end, they're like, "I'm gonna get emancipated," and I'm like, "But wasn't the whole thing that you have to convert to emancipate?" Or I don't know. It's very confusing. But the killer reveal, okay. And I kind of cut on to this at a certain point. It's Anna Kolumsky's character, Molly. Her real name is Angie, and she was, like I said, one of the students there. And there's a point where Jordan, I think, or one of the girls, actually, I think, someone finds, like, pictures. Like, first of all, why would you keep these pictures just in an office? then again, she could have put them there to show these kids, hey, this is what happens here. But this is the first time where she's like, well, I knew about some of the stuff, but I didn't know it was this much. And then later, when what happens to Stu, he gets like the electroshock therapy, whatever it's called. It's like she's really flipping out now. I'm like, okay, so it has to be her. And so the electroshock thing, they use this. It's like aversion therapy or something like that. They use this so that it takes them away, and they say that the counselor Zane, put a cork in it, Zane was put through this, and now he's straight again. But in the very next scene after this, he's in bed with what is supposedly his girlfriend or a female counselor, or whatever. He's looking at a dude's package, like it's like a duty underwear or whatever, on his phone, and then the girl's looking at a girl in her bra and panties, and they're just like grinding on each other. And he's got the phone with the dude right next to her face, and he's looking at it grinding, and I'm like, so it doesn't work. Like, we're showing that this is a foolproof plan and that they get results, but this shows that it doesn't work anyway. Like, they're still going for it. And even then, how Stu gets put through this is that he is sort of seduced by this other student, we're led to believe, Gabriel, into like making out in the lake and then having sex in this back room. And then it's revealed that Gabriel is working with the counselors, and like then they put Stu through this aversion therapy. But like, what is with Gabriel? Like, he's just allowed to have sex with other men, even though they're supposed to be pushing everyone away from that. They're allowing him to do it if it furthers their means to an end. I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, and like the ending is kind of weird to me. So we get the killer revealed. Angie reveals herself to Kevin Bacon and says, hey, this happened, he put me through that shock, and it ruined my life. And that right there also tells you it doesn't work the way they want it to work. Like, it doesn't, no. So, she killed Molly, took her place, which, again, like other films that do that, they don't have pictures of them to know who they are. I've seen it done many times before in other movies. And every time it's like no one knows their picture at all. No. And like, even like Screaming TV series who did it, they find a picture and it's like, oh, well, that's the real, whatever his name was, Adam or whatever his name was, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's pulling a string for me. But yeah, then you have this whole confession of what happened, and then Jordan shows up, and they have a gun, and they're like, and they're both trying to, like, both Kevin Bacon and Angie, they're like trying to send their point of views, and Angie basically saying, shoot him, and we can just keep doing this to other camps. There are other camps out there, we can do this again. And basically Jordan's like, fuck you, and chooses not to do either, which is sort of the message of the movie. Like, I don't know, like they don't want to be like Kevin Bacon, but they don't also want to be like Angie. But Angie is a more extreme version of this point of view, so I don't know if that's fully out there, but I don't know. But yeah, it chooses not to. So Angie fucking takes Kevin Bacon and pushes onto this mounted rhino horn, impaling him, and then slits his fucking throat. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, just kill them both. Because it's like, Kevin Bacon should have died in this movie, because it's like, he's like, Angie's the killer, but Kevin Bacon is evil in this movie. That's how I see it. Like, Owen is his name. Angie may be the killer, but Owen is the pure evil one for all his methods, And So yeah, he dies, and then the cops show up and arrest Angie, and it's like, wait, Angie doesn't die? What kind of message is that then? Like, I don't know. My ending would have been like she kills Owen and then turns around and like Jordan has the gun and pff, shoots her in the head. But in a weird ending to a slasher film, the slasher killer is still alive and gets arrested. Okay, and then we have an extra tacked on scene. Okay, so before I get to the end, I want to say that earlier in the film, there's a scene where all the girls are sort of bonding, and they start singing the is it the girls? I don't. Perfect by Pink. They start singing. Maybe it's the boys. I don't know. It's some. I don't remember. But like, it's basically a song about being who you want to be. So it's a perfect anthem for this kind of movie. But they're out there talking and they're just sitting there, and they're like, "Well, what do we do now?" And I'm more thinking like, the cops just left 4 teenagers at a camp. How were they gonna leave? There's no more adults. Why? Huh? Yeah, the cops, they show up, they arrest Angie, and they take off, leaving the other four just sitting there. And it's like, okay, this is supposed to be like a kind of moment where they say, we're going to be who we want to be, and all that stuff. But then, in the back of my head, though, okay, who's coming to pick up these kids? Like, what's going on? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you wrote it as this feel good moment where they decide they're going to be what they want to be and be their own person. But then the back of my head, the logic point is who's taking these kids home? You know, I don't know. It's very weird, but yeah. And then we end with the song actually playing. They were singing it themselves earlier, and then we actually get the song playing at the end. Which I like that song, but yeah, it's not as bad as people point out. People say, you know, they'll turn their nose down and say, "Oh, this is nothing but a woke agenda movie." I think it's fine for what it is. I give it in the middle of the road because, well, the biggest problem I have with this movie has nothing to do with the gender stuff. Every single kill is a cutaway except for Kevin Bacon, like his death at the end, and I think that is by design. Like this, I think this movie's TVMA, but almost every single kill is a cutaway until you get to Kevin Bacon's. You see him impaled on the rhino horn. You see his throat get slit, and I think that's by design. Like this is the guy, this is the motherfucker you want to see die for the entire film, and you get to see it. Everyone else is our you know, are cutaways, but Kevin Bacon's is the one you want to see die, so you get to see that. So, you know, but in the end, though, I hate movies with cutaway kills. It's like, I don't know. Although it could also be, you know, saying something about the later Friday the 13th franchises or films in the franchise where they were mostly cutaways because the MPAA decided, nope. But yeah, it's the middle of the road. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be with all this, you know. And its Rotten Tomato score is like 30 something. I think it's like the straight 30. Nah, it's at least 50. It's not that bad to me. If I was giving it a star rating, it'd be 3.5 out of 5 stars. For the star rating, it'd be 5 stars. 5 stars per movie. 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's not that bad. Will I ever watch it again? I don't know. The message they have in the film is a little heavy-handed, and sometimes it's a very awkward type movie. It's a very uncomfortable type movie. So it's not, the rewatch value isn't there. But I like the acting. Kevin Bacon is great. He as a scumbag, you want to see die, and the one kill you get to see. So yeah, Anna Chlumsky's great, especially in the later part of the film where she becomes this villain. They don't, like, the point of view is that she's not a villain. She's trying to help these kids, but killer in a movie equals villain, so it's kind of hard to differentiate. But it's fine. So what are your thoughts on they slash them? And there's like 2 different versions where it's just a slash, there's another one where they actually spell out the word slash, but they slash them. Leave me no comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. And the next one, I'm actually going to watch shortly after. It's not right after. I'm going to watch a couple reviews and then maybe see if there's any other videos on YouTube. And then I'm going to put on The Black Phone, which is also on Peacock. So, yeah, that's a double feature for me. This will be uploaded. I'm recording the videos first. They'll be uploaded later. But, yeah. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.